All the dope I stepped on, yeah, I got my vest on. Way up on the west lawn, yeah, I got my crest on. Power, powder, respect. I want that money and power and powder. Get paper, paper, yeah, I gotta stack that. Them diamonds keep blinking, blinking, I might have to jack that. Step off with a little jump. Shit be catchy, yo. Shit be catchy. Back into his house to recap another episode of that good Power Book 4 for Season 3, Episode 5, entitled The Last Dance. Welcome to Grown Movies and TV. I am your humble and most honorable host, Real. And this episode is brought to you by that good Jim Beam. You know, that winter reserve. You know, 'cause shit be cold, you know. And Coke, Diet Coke, 'cause I'm old. You know what I'm saying? Old school. It's cold in them Chicago streets, ain't it? Power Universe is cold. Let's just get down to some brass tacks, shall we?
House music.
So we start off on a little CBI set, you know. Cats is outside, crewed up, got that drink popping, spades is popping, you know, trunk tunes was blasting. This one mofo outside putting on a little show, you know. It's always one cat. Always one cat that wanna be the center of attention, you know. This mofo up in a wheelchair. Wheeling. You know, getting his goddamn rocks off at half mast. This mofo was trying to hit the bankhead bounce with no goddamn bank. Did the motherfucking stanky leg with no goddamn legs. But the was hella stank. His crew egging him on, you know. They like, go Willie, go Willie. This mofo was hitting wheelchair switches and shit, you know. No damn engine, you know, just a goddamn one-seater. But you know, he was having fun, and they seemed to really take the little player, you know. You know who else took the little player? Couple of cats from the Yardie crew, you know, rolled up on they set. In retaliation to some Tommy set off some time back, got the blasting up on CBI, you know. When the drive-by was over, Lil Wheelie needed more than some new goddamn legs. This mofo needed Jesus on the main line. This mofo was laid out deader than a mother. CBI took that loss. Now this couldn't be worse timing for Tommy. with all the shit he got going on. With him and Diamond, the coalition, like mofos is starting to see that this mofo, Tommy, starting to be a little bit of a liability. Next thing we see, Bones, Big Smurf, and Marshall running the day's events down to the Sampson brothers, letting them know what the hell just happened out in them streets. Jenard like, Yardy's on that payback from some of Tommy's shit. And the three of them piece up out of there with a little consolation dough from Diamond, after spilling the beans. Leaving Jay and D to get a little rap, Now Jenard want to mash the Yardies the out. Diamond like, how about we bring him into the coalition? Jenard get to losing his shit. He like, what? Coalition? He like, how about demolition? The is wrong with you, player? Got on that biggie. Hit him with that somebody gots to die. If I go, you gots to go. Somebody gots to die. Let the gunshots blow. That's the time Jenard was on. But Diamond thinking strategy, because Che done already told him that the violence gonna mess up the money. Tommy might be a liability and all, but he put some good shit in place, for him, for their crew. Got these cats eating good, made some moves that he don't necessarily want to move away from. But he sees Jenard's point, that somehow, some way, a price gots to be paid. Gots to be paid for the transgressions, And he tells Jenard to set up the meet with the Yardies so they can talk that coalition business and whatever else they got to discuss. And that meeting gets set, CBI go up in the Yardie spot, friendly. The leader of the crew, Zamos, expecting some shit to pop off, as he should. He like, that's right, we smoked your little player. Your little mark-ass homeboy. Same as Tommy smoked one of my little players. What the is up? Diamond like, look, I'm just here to ask if you want to join our coalition. Get that green with us. I know y'all are loners, but we getting that paper for real. No war, no cops in our business. My Zamos can't believe it. He like, let me get this straight. I put one of your crew in the desert. Got a little player in early meeting with Jesus and all of that. Sent him up to the crossroads where he gonna miss everybody. And you want me up in your little club. Now how that work, player? And they break out a brick of drugs, CBI that is. Let them get a little taste. Diamond like, shit, we got discount prices and the Popeye's chicken sandwich recipe, player. Mofo, it's a win-win on this side. Yardies get to snorting, sampling the wares. Shit was so good, these cats was rubbing it on their gums and all of that, Cause on that. Now, one of the cats that smoked Lil Wheelie, old jumpy, goofy ass looking mofo, this CBI told Zamos he knew they was bitch made and all of that, Goddamn CBI cats was up in there trying to hold it together, twitching, gritting teeth, biting lips and shit, one goddamn diss away from being on some Diamond and this stupid ass coalition. and putting some hot lead in little goofy player's ass. But they held it together, and Diamond and Zamos got to talking some business. Zamos like, okay, drugs was good as a mofo. How can I be down? Diamond hit his ass with that little stipulation. He like, cool. There's just one little thing though. Need you to serve little goofy ass player over there up as an offering. Shit got ritualistic and shit. Nobody was even expecting that shit. Not on the Yardie side, not on the CBI side. Diamond called a goddamn audible. And he knew it wasn't gonna play. And when Zamos told his ass, nah, step off, Holmes, somebody hit that whistle. Was like, somebody hit that goddamn whistle, like, and two cats rode in on goddamn dirt bikes with the oo-wops. Laid all the yardies down like they was spraying Glade on fart vapors and shit. Goddamn fully automatic guns was talking, barking, sparking on some Luke, I am your father. Send all them bitches to hell with first class seats. After all the goddamn yardies was laid out in the goddamn yard, this mofo Smurf go over to the goofy cat, emptied his whole clip in little player. He like this for weirdly. Blam, 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 blam. This mofo Smurf had lost it. Like this mofo was already dead. He like, yeah, that's for wheelie, mofo. And eventually CBI piece up out of there victorious. Diamond tells his crew to make the shit look like a cartel hit, tells them they gonna be taking over all the Yardie territories, Told his crew he gonna talk to Che, need to get in front of that, cause ain't supposed to be no war out in these streets. Even told Jenard that he could roll with him. Jenard was so confused and elated, had his ass questioning his goddamn loyalties, didn't he? Because goddamn Shanti been acting hella stank on his ass and less appreciative. While Diamond acting less funny and more appreciative, started to hit Shanti on the cell, tell her they got to meet with Che. Decided to hold off on that, And at some point they catch up with Che, who ain't feeling the meat at all initially. Don't like the fact that Tommy ain't there. Don't like the fact that Jenard is. Don't like the fact that there's violence in them streets. And they tell his ass, ain't nobody tripping over no damn yardies. Told him they want more product and that they gonna make him more money, not less money. He like, player, you should have led with that shit. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, a newly freed Claudia and Lil Boo Elise getting a little rap, Had a little lover's quarrel, actually. Cause Elise was like, baby girl, now that you out that orange jumper, how about we jump our asses on a flight to Barbados, Peace about the country, never come back. But Claudia got some snitch shit still to do. I mean, that's why the hell she out. Explains this to Elise, but Lil Boo Elise ain't feeling it. She piece up out the room in some goddamn disgust. A little later that morning, Claudia get a call from Tommy, who tells her they now have a common enemy in the Marquez cartel, and that they should meet up to figure some shit out, Now, Claudia ain't really feeling it, but she agrees to the meet. Then she hits Stacy Marks up to let her know the deal. Heads out to the meet. But she failed to get there before Tommy, scoped shit out, who was watching her ass from a safe distance. Seeing her talk to her damn self, or more likely the feds, on some kind of wire. And he sized the situation up as just that, that she on that snitch plan, like her brother Vic. Hits up Claudia's cell, tell her like, what the f***? I thought I said meet me alone. She start talking reckless, like a snitch would. Trying to set the trap up, She like, you did try and kill me in jail, though. You remember when we sold them drugs in the Viagra Triangle, don't you? You remember. This mofo Claudia pulling out all the tricks, But Tommy ain't stupid. Plays dumb on the line, Tells her to hit his ass up when she ain't bullshit and ain't nobody listening, Then they both piece up out the spot. Claudia gets home, finds Vic up in the crib, And they get to sibling quarreling and shit, Claudia talking about how Tommy came through the shy, single-handedly destroyed their whole family legacy, left that shit in ruins. She like, I know I tried to kill you, babe, bro. Let's move past that. And get this motherfucker Tommy up out of here. But they both snitches. Which means it's hard to know whose side one might be playing on, It's kind of hard to also get over somebody trying to body your ass too, And on that, Vic start to get her the f*** up out of there. Just then Ray walk in to come visit Vic, To which Claudia introduces herself as his sister. No name given. Tells Ray she can do better. Then she piece up out of there, Leaving Vic and Ray to get a little rap. And Vic tell Ray, you know what, I'm gonna be honest with you. My name not Jason Booker. And she immediately put two and two together, recognizes them as Vic and goddamn Claudia Flynn, packs up her shit, cause she see the play, sees that she been used. But Vic convinces her that he really digs her, Said at first it was a play, but then he got to really like her. And he hoped that this don't mess things up between them, They said they got something real. And he piece up out of there, goes over to Tommy's to tell him about his recent convo with Claudia. Then he tells us some shit about Stacy Marks he didn't know. So let's go back to Stacy for a second. Stacy got a cat up in her office, this motherfucker named Steve Lawrence, who she wants support from for her campaign for mayor. Hoping that he can provide a healthy show of support from the police, But this mofo ain't on board, because his department got investigated some time back for some goddamn civil rights violations. And he blames that investigation on Stacy. So they get to talking about what Brown can do for him, to get that support, He tell her 100 large will do the trick, As a nice little down payment on a boat he got his eye on. He trying to buy the goddamn Titanic? $100K for a down payment. She tell him he bugging out, But tells him she can keep the mayor's office out of his business, if she become mayor. So that he and his crew can move about with more racist, prejudicial impunity or whatever the they was doing, And he tells her that's a bet. And he'll make sure that some goddamn strong police presence is at the event. And she has that event. And there is strong police presence, like 20 po-po strong. She up at the podium talking her talk. All of a sudden, when mentioning the good work she was gonna do with the help of the police, the goddamn scene changed. Police flash mob Stacy ass, Hit her with that Rhythm Nation, Gave her they ass and backs to kiss simultaneously, Had Stacy flustered as a mother. Wasn't else to say, but I'm Stacy Marks. And I'm running for mayor. Speech over. She got the hell out of Dodge. Ran into the little weasel Lawrence before she pieced out. He like, my bad. Cops don't be forgetting shit. But I can make that go away for 150 large, The motherfucking price done went up. No more flash mobs. He like, we'll come back, get off that Rhythm Nation. Get on that control, that pleasure principle. Put some color back into your campaign, Cause now Stacy shit is burnt toast. Like whatever chance she had before, it just dropped significantly. And after Vic explains all of this happening to Tommy, well, they decide to use this to Tommy's advantage, and they decide to flip Stacy Marks the way she flipped Vic, which is how everybody gets flipped, which is by the threat of being outed to eventually pay the price over some shit you don't want out there. And Vic tells him about how Stacy got this little shorty to flip on him. And he goes and pays little shorty a visit, This the little shorty who was there when Vic and Tommy went on a deal gone bad with this cat named Colin in season 1. And he tells her he knows she worked with the feds to get Vic locked up. Offers her 25 large to help him out, Tell him some shit about Stacy Marks and make a little video with him, And at some point they get to plotting, video making, the whole deal. Next thing we see Vic and Stacy meeting up somewhere. And he tells her he got a donation for her campaign. She like, the f*** you know about my campaign? Just then Tommy come around the corner. Introduces himself as Pageant Inc., her biggest donor to date. She like, the f*** is going on here? Stacy ass looked like she saw 2 goddamn Resident Evil monsters and shit, She backed the f*** up like Onyx and all of that. Discovers Vic been reversing his snitch and is now working with Tommy. Tommy tells her he saw earlier how she lost serious favor with the Popo and could use his continued donations, And as Tommy expected, well, she told Tommy to go f*** himself, To which Tommy then pulls out the video on his cell that he made with Lil Shorty. Had Lil Shorty saying how she met with Stacy and that Stacy bribed her to ID Vic as the shooter of that coked up, crazy cowboy Colin ass, from the art gallery a couple of seasons ago. Said she offered her cash to do it. Now, if you recall, a couple of seasons ago, Lil Shorty, whose name is Alicia, well, her ass was drugged up in Colin's spot, about to get got. Looked like maybe she had already gotten got. Them two was high as a motherfucking kite. Well, goddamn Colin had lost it, high on whatever the he was on. Playing that goddamn loud-ass dance music, waving that big-ass gun around, screaming and shit. And Vic did put one in his ass, but Shorty was already removed from the room when it happened, so she ain't see shit. But when she got picked up by the cops for copping drugs, the only way she could get a deal was to have ID'd Vic as the shooter and to say she saw him do it. So to save her own ass, a decision she made on her own, said that she saw Vic do it when she didn't. And after telling Tommy all of this, well, he knew she would say any damn thing, to save her ass or for some money, drugs, or whatever. And they made that damn video, even though it was a lie. And if all of that came out, well, that muddies the waters a little for Stacy ass, And she knew it. Knew all the negative consequences that might entail. Doors that might close. How her career that she had built up and was so proud of, that she had worked so hard at and for, would eventually come tumbling down. And she didn't want that. It was a goddamn moment for Stacy Mark's ass, wasn't it? Had Stacy by the circumstantial balls. And she rethought about it and took that damn check, Soon as she did, Tommy like, you work for me now. And her first job was to pull Claudia's detail, But that would be too eyebrow raising. So Tommy settled for her pulling the detail off Lobo Elise. And they piece up out of there. Stacy get back to the office. Immediately calls Claudia in. Tells her to meet with Tommy again, Lest it be known that she wouldn't be upset if Tommy didn't walk away from that damn meeting. Told Claudia if that were to happen, well then Claudia get to walk away, do her thing, run her game, sell her drugs, her females, whatever. Ain't even got to talk against Ortega. But she do got to serve a mofo up every now and then, or at least some detail on a mofo, every now and then. Sound familiar? Because a lot of mofos walking around these parts on that plan as we speak. Real motherfucking talk. That's how the game is rigged. So don't even get in the game, okay? And she gives Claudia an escape route, out of her building, where she at right now. So she can get started and all of that on offing this Tommy. And she pieced the up out of there, understanding the mission. Got on her phone, told Lobo Elise get the chopper ready. Told Tommy she wanted to meet at midnight. She put some shit in motion. And as she do that, Tommy puts his plans in motion, runs down on Lobo Elise coming out the club, Tells her Claudia like the Black Widow. Says she be loving all her Lobos up. Then taking them out, Sowed some seeds of doubt in Elise, Some seeds that she had to acknowledge had already existed. Told her he'd give her $1 million in cash if she just shared Claudia's plans with him, Next time we see Elise ass, she was hopping on that goddamn chopper for Dolo. Looked like she made a beeline from her conversation with Tommy down to the goddamn helipad, didn't it? Got to the chopper at midnight, Told the pilot to roll out. Roll out. Said ain't nobody else coming. Took that damn money and left that life and Claudia right where the she found both of them, And as the copter is pulling off, Claudia pulling up to Tommy's spot, on some B&E, some black cat type shit, rolled up in his crib through a damn escape stairway that led up through the ceiling and shit, had the right colors on though, that black on black, just the wrong outfit, because she was outfitted to run and she needed to be outfitted to lay. Because goddamn Tommy had to drop on her ass soon as her feet touched the goddamn floor. And they had a little shootout, Had a little banter while the shootout was happening, Eventually ends up with Tommy putting one in her gut. Then one in her tit. And one in her neck. Gave her damn flowers as she lay there wounded. Then he put one in her dome piece. Like, wow! Took the unnecessary time beforehand to let her know that all bad blood aside, well, she had his respect, unlike Vic ass, who it sound like he got plans for too, Cause snitches is supposed to get stitches, ain't they? Well, so they say, I don't know. I don't know. But all that respect that Tommy had for Claudia couldn't have prevented her ass from now laying like a bearskin rug on Tommy's floor. Shot the up. Leaving some of that Flynn legacy on the floor of her most hated enemy. And after Tommy had a little sip of some Irish whiskey and made his peace with Liliana, well, he called Diamond, who was busy. He ain't answer his goddamn phone, probably up in some ass. You know how Diamond do. And since Diamond wasn't available, he reached out to Shanti, who helps him with Claudia, And as they get a rap, she lets Tommy know that shit ain't too tight with Jenard as they used to be. Told him about CBI taking out the whole Yardie crew, which Tommy was unaware of. CBI looking mad, untrustworthy right about now, And Shanti looking more trustworthy, which is a crazy turn of events, because he might just be pulling the one person who want him going the most, even closer, making him a much easier target to get got. And potentially with the CBI shit about to push the one person who dig him the most away. And while all of this shit is going down, Maria at work on her shift got a little emotional about a kid who shot himself with a gun he found in the crib. His mama boyfriend had a gun laying around and he shot his damn self. Her co-worker like the you tripping over. You don't never get emo over some shit like this. She like, you must be about to get your period and shit. You know how shorties talk to each other. Just then Maria realized it's been a goddamn minute since she last seen that bitch, Her period, I mean. Gives herself a pregnancy test at work. Finds out why she ain't got it yet, and she get to smiling. 'cause them lines lined up, find out she pregnant, tripping that she about to have a little Tommy, little Thomasina. Texted Tommy that she had big news to tell him, made her way over to his spot. Came up in that piece excited, elated, all the excited type of emotions you could feel. She was feeling it, had her feeling emotions like Mariah Carey. Deeper than she's ever dreamed of, couldn't wait for Tommy to come home. Even bought herself a little baby onesie on the way to that piece. Baby ain't even been born, she done got the onesie. Super elated about the news, That is until she came in the door and saw bullet holes over the goddamn Cafe Bustelo, Over the goddamn coffee mate creamer and shit, Goddamn coffee pots was shot the up. Bullet holes in the wall. She like, the is going on here? Looked around, ran into Claudia blood, just chilling on the floor in a puddle. Like, what up, player? Party over, Party goddamn over. Her fantasy world with Tommy got realer than a mofo, didn't it? She get to cleaning that shit up, doing what she do best. Being in support mode, And she was hoping to take care of another life, which was made from her. But she got to second guessing that shit, Tommy come home, see Maria cleaning up blood. Maria ass looked tired as shit, didn't she? Maria was falling asleep on the cleanup, that's what it looked like. He like, oh my bad, I ain't want you to see all of this. Let me get myself together. I want to hear your big news, little boo. But the news was no longer big, 'Cause the dream seemed as if it was now deferred. Shit, this mofo Tommy don't provide no safe environment for her or a damn baby, And she tell his ass some bullshit about a work promotion, Can't have no babies up in the crib where shots is ringing off. Coffee pots is getting shot up and shit. Bullet holes in the wall at any given time. Blood on the floor. That meant a body was on the floor. I guess that fairy tale was good while it lasted, It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and pepper up in the limo. Peace.